Good morning, everyone. This is my morning with Python. If you use Windows, just make sure you have Python 3 something, 3 dot something installed, and just go to this magnifying glass, type CMD for command, hit enter, it'll open your terminal. If you use Linux like I do, you can open the terminal from menu somewhere here in accessories. You'll find a terminal here. I already have an icon here, so I'm going to click just here, my terminal. And let's just get started with what the Python interpreter is. So built-in interpreter, if I type in Python 3, in the Windows you can type Python 3 or just Python, I believe. If you hit enter, it's going to open the terminal. So that interpreter allows you to run commands, Python commands, one at a time on a screen, or sometimes more than one at a time. You'll see that later. But this is used primarily to check how stuff works very quickly, rather than writing a piece of code. So for example, just to give you an example, if I type in print hello world, if I hit enter, what I'm going to see on a screen is this string of characters written, because that's what the print command does in Python programming language. So it prints that. Now I'm not going to use this, so exit out from that is just exit with empty parentheses. What I'm going to do instead, I'm going to write the code using text editor. So you can just get text editor in GUI like this, print hello world again. So in this situation, I would have to save this file as just, for example, fun py. There's already existing file with that name, so I'm gonna override that. So that basically prints the hello world if run properly using Python. And the way it is going to do, let me just maybe squish it to the left. This one, squish it to the right. So in ls funpy, so the file is in this directory. It's my home directory. If I type in, if I want to run this code using Python, I'm going to go like this. In Windows, it could be Python without 3. Depends on if you have Python 2 installed or not. I have both, so that's why I need to go Python 3. If I specify the name of the file to run, it's going to show me the same results. Now I'm not going to be using this GUI interface. I have my own way of doing things, and I'm going to open that file one more time using a Vim text editor. So fun.py opens that. Okay, let me open another terminal so I can use this to run the code at the same time. And let's type in first of all, okay, so print any characters enclosed with single. Okay, let's stop right here, single. So what we're looking at is a print function. Print function takes argument in the parentheses if that argument is enclosed in single or double quotes. We call this a string. So let's just run this. I'm going to save the file right here in the text editor using W command. That's written into the file. In fact, if I display that file content, I have exactly what you're seeing on the screen. If I run this now, fun.py, it is going to display those two. So two things to notice. One, each print statement puts the new line at the end. So the first print is written and the second is in a separate line. So in Python, print adds the new line character, special character, at the end of each string. Now, let's go and go with single print or double quotes is called, and let's do it differently. I already used double quotes in my first string and here and there. Let's use single quote instead. And the reason we're doing this is that now that I can use double quotes as a literal character. Let's call this strings. So I'm gonna finish that strings with single quotes. And what's gonna happen is that in single quote, I enclosed a string. So this whole thing I just highlighted is one string to be printed. Since inside the string I'm using double quotes, the print statement will be using now single quotes to enclose that string. And it works. Save my file, clear my screen, and do it again. Here we go. Okay, let's have some more fun with it. So let's type in print. Now if I want to have okay, let's just say let's print. Now I'm using double quotes to enclose my string because I want to use single quote inside this string. Let's print some numbers. Save my file and run it. Clear and Python fun again. Now what if I wanted to have a space of one line between those? There's a few ways you can do that in Python. One way is maybe at the very end of the previous string we can add \n for new line. So \ indicates that this n does not mean an n character. It's actually new line. Let's see what happens when we run this now. Clear, and it'll run it again. Now we have a new line between those strings here, just like in my code. Another way of doing this would be to start maybe new line character at the beginning of the next string, which is going to be pretty much the same result. So let's clear the screen and run the code one more time. Enter. Whoa, I made a mistake because my n/n is not inside the quotes. It's good it happened because we can see what syntax error is in Python. So if I squeeze that in here inside the string, that should work properly this time around. And there we go. So you've noticed that print statement or print function adds new line at the very end of the string. Now let's just go for like this maybe one more time and print something like this. This is a sentence to be printed. Now watch what's going to happen. I'm going to go for space and close my string with double quotes the same way I started with, and obviously add the parentheses, closing parentheses at the end. So if I save this file, right, and I run it, I'm going to be looking at the last line. This is a sentence to be printed space, which you won't see the space obviously because it's a terminal. But if I finish that now with something like comma, comma, and keyword and equals with empty quotes and continue to write using print, I'll do space on the same line. I can basically train Python statement and make it right in the same line. So I included the space here because actually I don't have to, because there's a space over here. If I save the file and run it again, those two statements will be printed on the same line because I told Python to end that string with nothing. Same way I could actually use, maybe, remove the space from here and include that space over there. It'll be the same result. Save the file, clear the screen, run it. Okay, so another way of printing something. So there's another way of printing something, and that is going to be printing something other than strings, right? Print, for example, a number. Okay, so let's go like this. Let's do 2 new lines, but they need to be enclosed in quotes. And I can say, let's print some numbers now. So if I run this, after this line, then I'm going to have a 2 new line inside my code, which will be printing stuff like that. Now let's print some numbers then. Jerry Cat wants to learn Python as well. Go Jerry. Print 1, 2, 3. If I do that, what I'm gonna get is basically clear screen and run the code again. The number 1, 2, 3. Is there a difference between this and that? Yes, there is. This is treated as a number and you can add something to it. And this is still a string of characters, just 1, 2, and 3 characters. So for example, I can do this. So the first is actually number, which is evaluated to 128, whereas the second is just string. If I do this here, look what's going to happen. I was trying to add something to a string. Type error. Can only concatenate, which means connect. String, not int. If you wanted to basically connect the 2 characters together, you would have to treat this as a 1, 2, 3 string, and you could say treat this 5 not as a number, but treat this as a character. And we do this with a string, and then it's going to connect those things together, and it's going to type in, guess what? 1, 2, 3, 5. It connected those 2 strings together. So this number was now treated as a string with the str keyword here.